Welcome back to the 5th episode of Kofi and Ren.
Yes, indeed.
This is actually the third time we are recording this. If you can see behind us, we were chilling on the grass, about to have a phenomenal, for the YouTube viewers, we were chilling on the grass about to have like an amazing time.
It was about to be one of our best chats. Like I was so ready.
We were getting in as well.
We were getting into it, and then it started raining hard.
Yeah.
And the thing is, my dumbass was kind of like, I was looking at the weather app, like, nah. It says it's not gonna rain. It's fine. But then the wind got too much. The sky looked like God was about to.
Black.
This is what the sky looked like when God flooded the earth. Like it's you know.
This is what Noah saw, and he was like, "I told you, I told you."
Literally. I'm clearly named after the wrong Don, because I saw the rain coming and I didn't see it coming. But anyway, we're here, episode number 504, and it's good to be back. It's good to be back with another one.
It's really good to be back.
Yeah. And we kind of like, because we're kind of reshooting, we're saving what we're going to talk about for a future episode.
Yeah.
And so therefore we're kind of going a bit more off the cuff. But one thing I will say, I will give a bit of a formal apology in the sense that I was kind of like low key kind of half defending Prince Harry, but nah, I'm off that.
You're done?
I'm off that.
You're done? Thank you. Finally, your eyes have seen the light and you realized, what is this dude doing?
Nah, because I mean, just like I just don't understand why this man is talking about his penis so much, man. I just don't know why he's talking about it so much. My torture. That's one of the worst words I've ever heard.
Yeah.
What you talking about, man?
Yeah.
But that's kind of a crazy way to start the podcast, actually.
Yeah. For what, 10, 15 seconds? I don't know, not 15 seconds in, very few. But if you don't know what we're talking about, we were speaking about Prince Harry the other week. And then recently on social media, it became a buzz of because he sold his new book Spare as an audio book as well. So what he kind of recently just did, what social media recently just did was take like a 15-second clip of
that book
him
Spare
talking about, I don't know what he was talking about. I think he had, to put it straight,
I think he was talking about like some experience he had in the army or something like that. I think.
Yeah, and his Todger had problems.
Yeah,
Todger referring to male parts, and we don't need to hear that, Prince Harry. We don't need to hear about the lotion that you put on your stuff and reminded you of your mother.
That's crazy.
The weirdest, like, we didn't know about that before we put the last podcast out, but this is just reaffirming that. I think just get some mental help, please. Stop talking about your family and just be happy with Megan.
Honestly, that's what you call unconsensual knowledge.
Yes.
I've never
too much information.
I've just like, like it's the same way people were saying like everything I've learned about like Will Smith and his wife. You see that one tweet? Everything I've learned about Will Smith and his wife and Jada, I've learned unconsensually. It just appears like you're like, I just did not need to know that. But you know what, actually?
That's what... Oh, okay, you go.
You go.
I was just going to say, that brings up a good point that not everything that we do or say deserves to be on social media or deserves people to be hearing about it at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. But actually, you know what? As we were talking about that, I realized what we can kind of partially talk about as a potential topic.
Yeah.
And that is... I'm not sure where we're even going to go with this, but I guess like kind of the whole thing of just like, I want to say not toxic family as the title, but just kind of how obviously part of why Harry is doing this is because doesn't have a great relationship with his family, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously we brought up Will and Jada Smith, who are, they are, they're heads or leaders of a family. I'm just kind of thinking like, and then I was kind of thinking about, myself and the various, just my relationship with my family, which isn't, it's not toxic, but obviously every family's got ups and downs, and I was just kind of wondering, like, when it comes to the idea of family and stuff like that, what are kind of some things that, like, what I don't want to say things that you want to do better, because I'm not trying to like incriminate or like our families. That's not where I'm trying to go. But when you start a family, what are kind of some things that you want to make sure are like
I implement
that I implemented that maybe weren't necessarily implemented in your upbringing in that sense. And I'm, obviously, like,
Yeah.
for myself as well.
I won't go the route weren't implemented in my thing, but I'll just say what I'd want to think, because I think
Maybe that's my thing. Yeah, because we're not. This isn't a complaint about our family situation, but just what when you look at kind of we're seeing these families go wrong, in the news. What are you hoping to do right with your family?
I think the first thing I'd say is we see these families go wrong, but like majority of people on this earth don't have the most, like, families mean so many different things for so many people. Like, I was just talking to my sister just brought it up today when I was in the lounge. I was just like, I actually didn't realize that, like, both of our parents come from blended families, where it's like you have step brothers or step sisters.
Yep.
And, when you grow up, it's socially thought and accepted that, it's 2 parents and 2 kids, because that's like the family pack. That's what everybody caters for. The average 2 kids in a household, white picket fence and, I don't know, middle class suburbia. But that's not really the case for a lot of people. So I think sometimes when we see people go through issues and stuff like that, like, we should just think about average Joe and their family and not about that white picket fence version. Because I think that will help not put so much pressure on people. Like, everybody has different, like, things. I was actually just talking to I'm taking a bit of a tangent, but I'll get to your point. I'm sorry. I was talking to someone from my work yesterday, and they were talking about one of their sisters that is just like absolute vermin, and they were talking about it's totally fine to cut off certain family, and thank God that I've never had that experience where I've had to do something like that. And thank God that that's not been my situation. But I don't look down or... obviously, based on your abilities, like, you have to... That's your flesh and blood. Like, you do everything in your power to want to love them. But sometimes it comes to us... I know for quite a few people where it's so toxic that that's not a reality where they can keep investing in something anymore. So I just wanted to say that, like, off rip... Like, family is obviously your flesh and blood, but it means so much more for other people than what we're just gonna speak about now, which is like us just having kids and being in a household. But some people don't have that, and whatever family is to you, like, love and cherish that. And if whoever is your family, that's your family. But for in the future, if I have a wife and kids, and what I'd want to implement, like, in a household, I'd say.
Can I stop you before you answer that question? Because that's the kind of crux of the question. I want to say 2 things. One, what you're describing in terms of what you're describing, actually, I was kind of looking at it. And apologies for cutting you off. I will bring it back.
That's all good.
But in terms of your friend cutting off the sister, and how that's obviously not an ideal situation, but it does happen, and oftentimes for those situations, that's a healthy thing to do. If your own family is toxic, it reminds me of a kind of concept from this book, or not really a concept, but a definition of love. In terms of there's a book I'm reading at the moment called All About Love. New Visions by Bell Hooks. And Bell Hooks, if you don't know, she was a famous African American writer who passed, like, the last 2 years or whatever, but very, very prolific in terms of her writings on love, feminism, kind of activism, and even kind of masculinity as well. She kind of touches into those kind of things, and it's kind of one of those ones that she's, like, really recommend if you're trying to explore that kind of stuff. And so I've started reading it. It's really good so far. And I wish I had the book on me physically, but she kind of has a description of love, and that she got from another book that makes a lot of sense. Let me just bear with me for a moment while I find it. It's Bell Hooks' definition of love. And so basically, the reason why I bring this up is just because, like, because in the book she references that there's kind of how love is taught, and basically a lot of parents don't actually love their children. But the reason why they don't love their children isn't because they don't feel affection for them, but because with this kind of working definition of love, it's not met. It's a slight tangent, but it's so basically she says, so love is the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another spiritual growth. And then she says, let me just try and find it. Oh gosh, there are like 7 things that it consists of, and it's like, oh, bear with me. You know what? It's taking too long to find. The point is, basically, she kind of gives like a working definition with several components, and then it's really good because it kind of makes you look at your own relationship, like how have I actually loved someone, like because you might have elements, you might have like say the affection, which is one of them, or care, but you might not have the affirmation, so that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent, but I guess kind of coming off of that tangent, I wanted to ask you and kind of place the question, I guess, for both of us. What is family to you?
What is family to me?
Yeah.
Honestly, at the moment, this is gonna sound like the most basic answer in the world, because I can you can unpack that, but I think more and more, like, I always think like people always say the people closest to me are my family, but as I'm growing more older and older, like, I'm not really saying those words as often. Like, it's gonna be my parents and my sister. And I say that not because maybe I don't love... Actually, I say that because I probably don't love people as much as I would die for those people.
Right.
And, everybody says, like, oh, this girl's like a sister to me, or this bro's like a brother to me. And maybe I can say that for you, Mecca, and Tom. But I can't really say that for a lot of people. And I don't want to be as... I think for me, family is like... When it comes down to it, like, I will get uncomfortable in loving these people. I will get uncomfortable in the sense, like, sometimes it will take all of you. But these people are so worth it, and you want to see them, like, be good in life, that it doesn't matter, things will go wrong, but when things go wrong, like, I'm gonna stay here. So for me, that's my family, just my blood. And I said that because that's easy for me to say, but if I was in a situation where, like, my family was a bit different, it would still be that same answer, but maybe it would be like for certain few people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, cool.
What about you?
Mine is obviously a lot of strong similarities, but I think that, so for me, obviously, my main family, my mum, my dad, my 2 sisters, but I would include certain people outside. Oh, obviously, like, like kind of my uncles and aunts and cousins and stuff like that, like, so I'll say, because I'm quite close with, particularly my mum's side, like my cousins, and my aunts and my uncles, and I think of like my little cousin Izzy, for example, which is a teenager, which is crazy, she's really grown up fast. Like, that's someone who, like, like, I feel like I could die for, even though I don't live in the same country as her. That's like she's like a little sister. I always see it as cousins should be like extended brothers and sisters.
In some cultures, it is like that.
Yeah, and that's how I very much feel like that's what it is or should be. And it doesn't always go that way, which is fine. But that's my belief of what it should be. So I say that, like, them. But then I would also say, like, I would definitely say people outside of blood, because I just look at some of the people in my life and some of the people that have served my family, and it's like, so I'd say like, yes. Now you're right that, well, actually, it's not even about you're right or right. When you say, like, there are certain people who you kind of like really kind of like die for, go through the gutter for. Obviously, you're gonna do that more for, like, I'm gonna do that more for my sisters than I probably would my cousins. I probably do it more for my cousins than I would some of my friends. But I don't think it discounts those ones as family for me.
Okay, yeah.
Because I kind of also look at it as like, would you be like, an uncle or auntie to my kids.
Oh yeah.
Like when I have
True.
kids, could I leave them in your house and feel comfortable?
Yeah.
You know, would I willingly, you know, if I pass, could I leave my kids with you? If you pass, could you leave your kids with me? And I think of some of those people, I'm like, yeah, there are some. So for you, I would say, I mean, family's not the word I've used, but like, you know, like when I say like, you know, you're like a brother to me, like that's like it's like I kind of, you know, yes, obviously family's my main brother's like, you know, number one, but it's like for me, someone like you is in that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
I definitely agree in that as well.
yeah, because it's like the people who have, you know, obviously, hopefully, I've showed up for them, but I've looked at how they showed up for me, and it's like, you know, and it's like that's what it is. Like, for example, right, we've got some family friends, right? Bob and Greta are their name, and they've got 2 sons, David and Micah. If you're watching, hello, love you very much. And I just look at the impacts they've had on our family, and you know, like, because you know, Greta in particular, like, she met my mum when she was pregnant with me. And it's like part of why my mum feels like she was such a successful mum, particularly in my kind of early years, is because of all the tips that Greta gave her. And then there's all just the investment they have in our family. We can go to England and they'll open up their house to us anytime. You know what I mean? Like they're just so, and they have their own family, but it's like, you know, like, but you know, they know our, like, you know, they know our friends. They know like our family's friends. They know our family as well as our own family does.
Yeah.
They know our own family better than some of our, you know, extended family. And that's just like, I know, like they've just shown time and time again over the last 25, 30 years that they're just really for us. And there's just this kind of like, you know, you just know, I just know that I'm cared for. I know that if something were to go wrong, that they'd be there. And they're not related by blood at all, you know?
Yeah.
And so I look at that, that's family, you know, as well, you know? And it's like I've got some, you know, a lot of on my dad's side, because my dad's got like a lot of siblings, right? There are a lot of uncles and aunts on that side, not all of them, but a lot of uncles and aunts on that side that I don't know that well. And that's blood, but I don't know them that well. I don't necessarily feel that same way. I don't know if what the reaction would be if I had to kind of show up. That's not to say that I'm expecting it to be bad, but it's like, I think that for me, family goes beyond just, I think family is kind of more about, it is about blood, yes, and the people that you come up with and the people that know you best and know you intimately. But I think it's also for the people that have just really shown up for you when they didn't have to. Just because they wanted to see you thing. And you know, and obviously friends can do that without being family. I've got great friends that I wouldn't call family that are like great friends that have done that at various points. But it's like, that's kind of what I look at, you know what I mean? Like, you know, That's my definition.
Cool.
Yeah. But I guess I'm kind of coming off of that. I want to ask, like, kind of going back to what we were kind of alluding to before. But I don't know if we alluded to it or not. I've kind of gotten more recording. But like, what are some things you kind of want to implement in your family?
Yes.
And ideally, when would you want that to happen? For any of the bachelorettes watching who are trying to get a sense to know if you're eligible or not.
Bachelorettes, is that what you call...
A bachelorette is a female bachelor, yeah.
Oh, see, I never knew that. I don't watch those shows.
I mean, I didn't get it from the show, bro. It's just,
okay.
Just vocabulary.
In all honesty, I'd say that what I'd want to implement is just a place where God is the center of the household. And I think flowing from that, my children should hopefully have like a sense of affirmation, feel protected, feel loved, feel cared for. Increasingly have a space where I expand their responsibilities and just be a place. I was gonna say something really corny, but I'm not gonna say that.
Is it corny? I mean, if it's real, just say it.
I make myself feel uncomfortable sometimes. So if I said it now, it would be like 10 times worse if I just said it off a rip.
Okay.
So let's just
Okay,
keep
yeah.
it moving.
Okay, fair.
But just a place where they can feel the best environments and not feel. I don't want them to ever feel like they're going to get any insecurities coming home. I don't ever want them to feel like a place where, they just. It's going to be a place where they'll be refueled to go out into the world.
I like that. I like that a lot.
And
That's a good phrase.
that does not come with just being all nice and as being that increase in responsibility and that growth will come like with challenging times. But I think like I can only speak from an aspect of being like a father. Like sometimes you have to say or do the hard things and be a person where you make those hard calls just because you know you want the best outlook for that person's life. And that can just look like, oh, I'm scared to do this. But like, normally maybe in previous cultures where it'd just be like, nah, be a man, you just got to do it. Be like, break it down a bit like, this is no, son, this is why you have to do this. Like, this is a good benefit for you. Don't turn your back on something that you just put your heart into. And like, yeah, my parents were hard on me at times growing up, but I'm ever more thankful for them because, yeah, they just they made me the man I am today, and so that for that reason I'm thankful for that.
I like that. That's good. I think in particular what you said about like a place where you're refueled to go out into the world, and that like you don't. That's that's cool. That's cool. For me, kind of in juxtaposition to you kind of said ended on the man I am today. I think one of the things that I want to implement in my future families, I want to make sure that it's a place where that kind of childlike spirit and heart never dies. Obviously, they're going to grow up into adults, and they're going to grow up into young women or men, or non-binary, or what have you. That was so awkward. I was just so awkward about that. Point is, they're going to grow up.
Yeah, I don't know why you needed to get that off, but go off.
You know what? Cut that bit. That bit, cut it.
This is all staying.
All right.
I don't know how many times I have to say
Yeah, that's fair.
but
that's
I'm
fair.
not cutting.
Look, you're getting the real authentic thing. You know what I mean? Point is, they're going to grow up, and they're going to become adults, and obviously, as you grow up, you kind of lose that childhood spark as you do.
Yeah.
But in the same way you said you want it to be a place where they're refilled, a place where they don't get insecurities from inside the home. I also want it to be a place that doesn't dim that light. Like I wanna always be fanning that flame. Like, if they come out the room talking about I want to be an astronaut or whatever, like I want to make sure that feels achievable, because I believe that kind of stuff is.
Yeah.
Like and I've got delusional dreams, to kind of quote someone I know, but I think that they're achievable. But the world at various points has told me otherwise, and implicitly I've been told otherwise. I just don't want that to be the case. So I just want I want to play a place that really fans that kind of childlike spirit, both in faith and just in life.
Yeah.
I also want it to be a God led house, a spirit led house, just because I think that I can't successfully, I can't lead a family with my future wife without that. And I want it to be a place where it's open, that they can talk to me about anything. Like, obviously there'll be respect, of course, but I do want to be my child's first and best friend. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying friend in the sense that they're like, oh, like, like if you dad, nah.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
A place with respect.
Yeah, there's still going to be respect, but it's like, because when you think about it, your parent is your kind of first everything. You know how they kind of say like,
You come out the womb and your dad is your superhero.
your dad's your superhero, your mom's
superwoman.
Yeah, exactly. They say like, you know, in kind of an olden day phrase, they say that like for daughters, the dad is kind of your first love, and for sons, your mum is your first love.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're your first love, they're your first friend, they're your first, you know, all this kind of stuff. And so I want it to be a place where they could talk to me about anything, and I'm not someone who closes off for it. Even if I'm like unsure about things, I'm awkward about things, I've never made it a space where they have to hide things. I want it to be a family where I can trust them, particularly when they're like, you know, in their kind of late teens and early adulthood.
Yeah.
I trust the person that they are as well.
Mm.
Like I want them to grow into characters that I trust. Like I know that I'm not comparing parents here, but it's like, you know, I've never been that rebellious as a kid. I've never kind of really gotten up to that much mischief, but in particular with my mum, like she knows everything. Like everything I basically told you, she knows too. Now, obviously, maybe some of the language around it and some of the slang and maybe a few extra details in here, maybe not, but the general gist, she knows.
You don't tell it like you're telling the mandem, "Oi, boys."
Yeah, no, it's not as you know as you know as that can be, but it's like she trusts who I am, and because of that trust, I've never felt the need to kind of really go crazy or kind of go against that. So just a place of kind of trust, spirit-led, childlike. I always want to be like I want to always kind of be able to get to their level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that ties to me as an individual, because as I get older, I never want to lose my childlikeness. You know what I mean? Like I never want to lose that spark.
Yeah.
As well.
I think one thing that you said about like, you're talking about like the having that childlike spark and like saying, you know, some of your dreams are delusional. I just was reminded of, like, I don't know, like, I think I'm not going to bring this guy up. We've spoken about him so much. Some person had a documentary where they had an amazing mother figure. And when you watch, this is a podcast, so I have to say, Kanye West had a documentary on Netflix and just showing his uprise, most inspiring documentary ever. But it really brought to light his mum and how she was continually affirming him.
Yeah,
and I think
she was his biggest champion.
Yeah, and I think in saying that, like, I think a good parent doesn't lead their kids astray thinking that the world is like all sunshines and rainbows and that you can just get your way if you just put your mind to it. Like we spoke about manifest. Oh no, and I say put your mind to it by just like thinking about it, not mean like putting your mind to it and putting things in actions. But like, okay, you have this goal. They give you the harsh reality of like what it's gonna take to get there. But then being like,
they're with you in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Son or daughter, I'm here for you. They'll pick you up. You want that goal. You're not working hard enough to be there.
Yeah.
But don't keeps your eyes focused on it and not just discourages you.
Yeah. But that's massive actually. Yeah, I feel that. Like it's like, yeah, if my kid comes to me that they want to be this, okay, cool. I'm gonna do everything I can to help you. But if you're saying you're gonna do it, then we're going to see it through, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I've got a friend actually, shout out to Nyota Parker, she's a rapper. I met her in Sydney for the Tyler trip. And she's amazing, very good friend. I miss her dearly. Hope you're doing well, I know you are. And basically, so she was born and raised in South Africa.
Hey, shout out.
Yeah.
She colored too?
She's half Congolese and half Irish.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Shout out anyway.
But she's still, you know, she's still South African.
Yeah.
Anyway, and we're talking out the details, you know. But you know, so you're gonna be famous. So it's like, look, these details are gonna be out there anyway. Anyway, point is, she actually, so her and her mom actually moved from South Africa to New York to pursue her music career. Yeah, and she's killing it. Like, she makes fantastic music. She's doing really well. Like, Converse has always got her on. Converse has got on some global campaign right now as we're shooting this. And her mum's her manager.
Wow.
And like, they're just so in sync, and it's like you can see like I hope you get to meet her one day. But when you talk to her, you can see how, because obviously she's really close with her mum, clearly, but you can see how like she's just got that guidance and she's got that champion being like, nah, you can do this. Here's how we're gonna do it, and she's actually succeeding. Like she's literally like, Converse has flown her back and forth to South Africa and all that kind of stuff, like because of what she does. And the music is fire, and the talent is fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, you know, it's. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. It's like that's the kind of parent that I want to be. Like I'm just backing my kids' dreams. You know, and it's because of me. Like I'm the big reason why they make it, not for my own pride, but because, you know, I was their biggest fan. Like I don't want when I have future kids, I don't want anybody else to be a bigger fan of my kids than me. You know what I mean? And their biggest not just fan but supporter. You know what I mean? Like I want to be the number one. I want them to know that like, nah, I believe in you. You know? And because I mean, it's a powerful thing. I just think that it's you know, it's. You look at the amount of kind of people that go wrong in the world. How much can you trace it back to an issue in the upbringing, an issue with the parents or the family? You know what I mean? Like, and it's like I think good family, and by extension good community, is how you make the best humans and how you make the world a better place. And I think that's. I don't necessarily think a nuclear family in terms of, you know, man, wife, kids is the only and exclusive way, but that kind of good human community is. So that's the timer. I think good human community is. Don't worry, I want to wrap up. I'm just finished.
That shocked you so bad.
No, bro. The way I hate the timer sound, that thing gives me Vietnam flashbacks every single time. Like, I'll be taking a little nap. I'm just like, I got it. It gives me a heart attack every time.
We can go for a bit longer. It's fine.
Yeah. But I'll wrap up at this point. And basically, I think that good human community is like one of God's main intentions. I think, and has the result in the best thing. And the reason why things are wrong in the world is because we've gotten that wrong along the way.
Yeah, and some of those things that like you don't get nourished on. I remember Kaz. When she was, because I think didn't she do like early childhood development or whatnot as like some primary school? I think so. When she was doing in Deakin,
like if you're wrong, Kaz, you know to find us.
We apologize. You'll tell us we're wrong anyway. Like I think she was talking about like that early nourishment as a kid and how much that like affects you like lifelong. And I think like I don't know why I'm saying this, but just pretty much like. For all this stuff that we spoke about, it's tough seeing people like in the age we're in. Like it's so easy to judge people. It's so easy to quickly say like, you see some person just acting really strangely. Like, why is this person always searching for love? Why is this person always just... But they actually, if you trace back... they actually have some deeper things that they're dealing with. Yeah. And a lot of like bad adults' behavior can a lot of the times come from like troublesome upbringings.
It's a part of our, you know, role, I guess, or mission as humans on earth, as, you know, children of God, whatever phrase you want to use, to raise our future children well, you know, and our people well. And I don't just mean that in a because I think what some people get wrong is that they raise their kids well and they function very well in terms of society. Doctor, engineer, lawyer. But it's like, you know, where were the lessons in empathy? Where was the lessons in how to be around people? Where was the lessons in judging and, you know, not being judgmental? Like sometimes you see that and it's kind of, you know, and it's missing. And I think like, you know, I guess if I was kind of put a bow on it, my goal is just to make sure that my kids are the best people they can be regardless of status. Yeah. I want them to do well. I want them to do well because they're doing their best, not because getting an A matters or because getting this career matters. Yeah. That I want them to be doing their best and able to support themselves, and then, you know, and because that's I want them to want what I want for myself, which is to be the best person I can be, and in terms of just how I am with people, how I treat people, and how I treat myself. Pretty much, you know. And then kind of always having that like that connection to something bigger than yourself. I say connection to something bigger than yourself in a kind of broader sense, just because I think that it's something that obviously we're both Christian, but I think it's something that's relevant regardless of what faith, or even if you don't, even if you're non-religious. I think just having that connection to being better for something bigger than yourself is super important. Yeah.
Brings a lot more purpose to your life.
Yeah.
Although I think
that's probably a good note to end it.
Yeah. I didn't know. See, sometimes you just got to pick up a mic and you just got to go.
Of course. Kofi and Ren, the best podcast you know.
Yeah. We were not going to talk about this today, and I'm really glad we did, because honestly, definitely. It was a wholesome chat.
I think talking about these things as well, kind of like, it's got my mind thinking more about that, and just like, you know, it's a good question to ask. You don't want to be thinking about what your family's going to be like when your kid's about to come out the oven, you know what I mean? You want to start thinking about it from early.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to have a family soon, but when I'm ready financially.
Yeah. I was going to say soon. How soon is soon?
Soon is when I'm financially okay.
Yeah. That's me too.
And I don't want. I want to have. No, I want to have fun as well. That's all I'll say. For a few years, you know what happens when people say like your life becomes more stressful when you have a mortgage and when you have kids. Yeah. So I do want to buy a house soon. So I think I'll just chill with like okay stress. Yeah, exactly. And then when I want more stress, then
exactly mortgage with holidays still, because once the kids come around. Actually, but you know what? Let's put it out there though. When we have a mortgage and kids, obviously yes, there'll be stress with it, but we'll be good. We'll be able to take the kids on holidays. I'm putting it out. I'm not like obviously I'm not saying it's easy. What I'm saying is
no, it definitely is easy. Actually, that sounds insensitive, but like.
Well, then, but that's what I'm. Well, then.
I'm not talking about let's go to Europe. Let's go to Spain, because like when
I'm trying to go Spain and Europe with my kids.
I mean, yeah, it's cool, but like when I was growing up, like my parents couldn't do that for us. Yeah. But we just went locally around, and you know, when you're a kid, bro, you don't care about Europe or Spain.
Yeah.
You see one big trampoline and you're blessed. Yeah. You're like, oh my gosh, I want to bounce on this till I have to go to bed. Like, you don't care about. I don't want to go look at a statue when I'm 6. Well, who wants to do that?
No, but you know what it is for me? It's because I know that my family now is spread all over the globe. Yeah. And I don't know where my sister and I are going to be. I don't want it to be they're seeing their cousins every 5-6 years. I want to be in a position where they can see them every year, you know what I mean? Oh, okay. And that's what I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah. And also just like, I want them to have a sense of...
The world,
you know what I mean? Like, I think, you know, me moving around, you know, had its pros and had its cons, but one of the best things it did for me is break my sense of, you know, my world was bigger earlier, you know what I mean? That's true. Because, and the same for you, bro. I mean, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, like, it you know, it does that. It
opens your eyes. Like, exactly. When people, all they know... is
just like
is East Melbourne.
That one street in their house. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like, stability is good, and I'm not trying to move my kids necessarily like from country to country. That can potentially be traumatic if done in the wrong way or at the wrong time. But I just want to make sure that they've got a sense of the world. Yeah, you know, and the world is bigger than just your street and your cul-de-sac. And therefore, so are your dreams. So, you know, and like, you know, I want, like, the earlier you can get that, the better. So that's what I mean when I want to take them on holiday. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to go on a romantic getaway to Paris and I've got my 3 kids with me. Like, nah. I'm either going to leave them at home with the aunt, with you know, Auntie Jessie and Karis, or Uncle Randall, or we're going to go to somewhere like that's like kind of fun, Disneyland or something like that.
Speaking about family, just before we wrap this up, one thing that, like, I think, I don't know, why can't you do that?
That's what do you mean?
No, I'm talking about, like, I know how. I think it's really cool how nowadays it's becoming like a lot more like acceptable for like the for like married couples just to like go out and do their own thing for a while. Bro. That's sick.
I'm trying to be big on that. I feel like if more families from the past generation did that, they'd be happier marriages.
Yeah. You know keep the fling, the flame going.
Bro,
like, keep the romance.
I want to be able to, because in my ideal world, right, I'm running my family and my life well enough to where if my sister says, hey, can the kids be with you for a week, 2 weeks, I can handle that.
Yeah.
Obviously, it will be a lot because kids are a lot. But I want
Don't be having 12 children. Though.
Yeah, now 12 children, you might have to, I don't know, leave them at the farm, something like that. but you know, I want the same. I want to make sure that, and here's where it comes. Here's where the kind of family things come in, like, and that's where family and by extension community comes in as well. Because if I got family or community that I can trust, then my, you know, we're raised together. And my kids, not only are they raised with Auntie Jessie and Auntie Karis, my blood sisters, but they're also raised with Uncle Randall or Auntie Erin or Auntie Kaz or whatever. Then it's like cool. Like then I've got. You know what it is, bro? It's a phrase that I heard ages ago, and it's a phrase that like I want it it's kind of tattooed in my heart. Family is meant to be done in community.
Yeah.
Like you look at like traditional. Sorry, we're really gonna wrap this up soon because we've kind of gone over time. But when you look at how, you know, I'm talking about Africa broadly. Africa is not one monolith, but when you look at how broadly Africa has done family before colonialism, when you look at how a lot of Asia, both Eastern Asia and Southeast Asia, do family, it's like you're raised with your uncles and aunties and cousins around.
That's why
the village raises you.
That's why I was saying before, you know,
yeah.
when we were talking about family, and I said culturally in other cultures, like, you know, African culture, like you sometimes you see your cousins as like your extension of your brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm big on that. I'm big on that. So I want to make sure that's my situation in the future. One thing I can't stand about the West, even though I'm born and raised in the West, is that whole the nuclear family exclusive model.
Yeah,
like that's like just it's just the parents. Like that's why I think part of why we see so much dysfunction. And I'm not saying some families do this well, some families don't. But part of why we see so much dysfunction is because, you know, kids are a lot for just two people.
Yeah,
you need more than just two parents to raise a kid. You need minimum two parents, I think. But I won't even say you need, because there are plenty of single parents that are killing it. But you need minimum one parent or parental figure to raise kids, but you need that community, because but I'll stop for now. I could go on forever on this. But we're gonna call it here. Thank you for watching again.
We could have gone for a bit longer.
Oh, literally. But I had to stop myself. My mouth was yappa. I was gonna keep going. But thank you for watching. It's been episode 5 of Kofi and Ren. Make sure you check us out on Instagram and YouTube and Spotify. You can find it all there, Kofi and Ren. You can find me on Instagram at @NoDaCosta_. You can find Randall on @Randall. What's your thing again?
It's just my full name, Randall Holmes, with an extra S.
Yeah, Randall Holmes with an extra S. Make sure you check out what we're doing, and we'll be back for the next one. Peace.